The Los Angeles sun was merciless that afternoon, burning through the pavement of Hollywood Boulevard, where dreams and heartbreak often walked hand in hand. Among the blur of tourists and performers stood a little girl, barely 9, clutching a cardboard sign that read in shaky letters, "For sale, $100. Beside her feet lay a worn acoustic guitar, its once glossy finish dulled by time, its strings slightly rusted, but still carrying a quiet dignity. Her dark hair fell into her eyes as she tried to keep her composure, though her small, trembling hands betrayed the weight she carried. That guitar wasn't just wood and strings. It was all she had left of her father. If you believe in kindness, miracles, and second chances, please take a moment right now to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel, because today's story is going to remind you that one small act of compassion can change a life forever. The girl's name was Emma Lewis. Her father, Jack Lewis, had once been a street musician who played on these very same sidewalks. He used to tell her that every string of his guitar carried a story, and every coin tossed into his open case was a sign that someone was listening. Jack wasn't famous, but to Emma, he was a superstar. His laughter could light up their tiny apartment, and his lullabies made the darkness less scary. But 2 months ago, Jack's music had gone silent. A sudden illness took him away, leaving Emma and her mother struggling to survive in a city that moved too fast for broken hearts. Her mother worked double shifts at a diner, but the bills kept piling up. Their rent was overdue, the fridge was nearly empty, and Emma knew her mother was breaking under the pressure. That morning, she had overheard her mother crying quietly over an empty wallet. So Emma made a decision, one she thought her father would understand. She took his beloved guitar, the one he called his heartbeat, and carried it to Hollywood Boulevard. Her plan was simple: sell it for $100 and help her mother buy groceries. Standing there on the Walk of Fame, Emma felt small and invisible. People passed her by without a glance. Some took pictures, assuming it was some kind of act. Others shook their heads or laughed. Hours went by, and no one stopped. The sun began to dip lower, and she could feel tears stinging her eyes, but she refused to cry. Her dad had always told her, "Real strength isn't in muscles, sweetheart. It's in not giving up." Then, out of the bustling crowd, a tall man with long blonde hair and sunglasses walked by. He carried himself with a quiet confidence, wearing a simple white t-shirt and jeans. Emma didn't recognize him at first. He stopped, knelt down beside her, and looked at the guitar with a familiar kind of respect. His eyes softened when he read her cardboard sign. "What's the story behind this guitar?" he asked gently. Emma hesitated. She didn't want pity, but something about the man's voice made her feel safe. So she told him about her dad, the music, the sickness, and how her mom was trying her best. When she finished, the man was silent for a long moment. Then he exhaled deeply and whispered, almost to himself, "You're stronger than most adults I've met." The man was Ozzy Osbourne. He had been walking down Hollywood Boulevard after a meeting, taking a rare quiet moment to enjoy the sunshine. But the sight of the little girl with the guitar had stopped him cold. For someone like Ozzy, who had seen fame, fortune, and the highs and lows of life, that simple cardboard sign felt like a dagger to the heart. He remembered his own struggles, the days when music was all he had, and how easily it could have all slipped away. He asked Emma how much she wanted for the guitar again. $100, she said softly, looking down. Ozzy smiled faintly. "I'll take it," he said. But instead of pulling out a single bill, he reached into his wallet and handed her a crisp stack of hundreds. 10 of them. "You keep your father's guitar, sweetheart. Some things aren't meant to be sold." Emma stared at the money in disbelief. "But I can't take this," she whispered. Ozzy placed his hand on the guitar gently. "You're not taking it, you've earned it, for having the courage to do what needed to be done. That's what your dad would have done too, right?" Her eyes filled with tears she could no longer hold back. The crowd that had once ignored her began to gather, their phones out, capturing the moment. A few people even started clapping. It wasn't about the money, It was the humanity, the compassion that shone in that brief exchange between a broken-hearted little girl and a man who understood what it meant to lose and still keep going. Word spread fast. By evening, clips of the encounter had gone viral across social media. Rock legend helps 9-year-old girl selling her late father's guitar, the headlines read. Comments flooded in from people all over the world, strangers offering help, musicians pledging donations, and fans calling it one of the most beautiful things they'd ever seen. But for Emma and her mother, the real miracle wasn't just the money. It was what came next. The next morning, Ozzy's team reached out to them privately. He wanted to know more about her father, the man behind that old guitar. Emma's mother shared that Jack had once dreamed of recording an album, but could never afford the studio time. Ozzy listened quietly, then made a promise. He would make sure Jack's music didn't die with him. A week later, Ozzy invited Emma and her mother to a recording studio. When they arrived, Emma's eyes widened. On the walls were photos of rock legends, guitars signed by icons. In the center of the room sat a polished stool with a microphone stand, and on the monitor, words appeared, the Jack Lewis tribute session. Ozzy had gathered a few of his musician friends to re-record one of Jack's original songs, using the very same guitar Emma had tried to sell. When the music started, Emma felt like she was hearing her father again. His melodies filled the room, woven with powerful electric riffs and soft acoustic harmonies. Ozzy sang the final verse himself, his rough yet soulful voice carrying every ounce of emotion. When the song ended, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. A month later, the track was released online. Within days, it reached millions of views. Fans were moved not only by the music but by the story behind it. The story of a little girl's love, a father's dream, and a stranger's compassion. All profits from the song went to a foundation Ozzy created in Jack's name, the Lewis Foundation for Struggling Musicians. Its mission to help street performers, single parents, and aspiring artists who couldn't afford instruments or studio time. For Emma and her mother, life slowly began to change. They were able to move into a better home, Emma started going to a new school, and her mother finally found peace in her smile again. Every night before bed, Emma would take out her father's guitar, strum a few soft chords and whisper, "We did it, Dad. Your music's alive." But perhaps the most touching moment came a year later when Ozzy invited Emma to perform live at a charity concert. She stood on stage, small and shy, holding her father's guitar as thousands of lights twinkled before her. When she began to play the opening notes of Heartstrings of Heaven, a dad song, the entire arena fell silent. And as Ozzy joined her on stage for the chorus, Emma looked up at the night sky and felt something she hadn't felt in a long time: peace. It wasn't about fame or money or recognition. It was about love. Pure, enduring love that doesn't fade even when life tries to take everything away. If this story touched your heart today, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe so more stories like this can remind the world that compassion still exists. And before you go, tell us in the comments below. What would you have done if you saw that little girl on the street with her father's guitar? Would you have stopped to help? Your words might inspire someone watching to make a difference today. As the years went by, Emma kept playing. She grew into a talented musician, her name quietly finding its way into the hearts of those who still believed in honest music. She never forgot the day she met the man who changed her life with one simple act of kindness. And on the back of her father's old guitar, she engraved a single line, one that would guide her for the rest of her life. Some gifts are not meant to be bought, only passed on.